JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, July 22nd, 3:40 p.m. Sorry, a little late here. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P at the highs of the session, up about 10th of a percent. So nothing crazy, but reversed to morning lows. Nasdaq still in the red. Small caps are doing well today. Cross my fingers, knock on wood. Hopefully that could be the start of something up over 1%. But interesting session, right? So you have a little weakness in the morning, and then it's like it, all the different news things that all the headlines, all the move, the 60 days in a row over the 20-day moving average for the Nasdaq and S&P. The US dollar falling, just all these different little things, and all of a sudden the market just turned, right? And then it's like meme craze, or however you call it, meme craze, right? Open was running, all the you had calls running at the open. I'm like, oh, this is typically some of these times when we've had these short squeeze and some names that are garbage that kind of like mark the top, right? Or people like to say it is. So it's very easy to get like all of a sudden thinking, oh, here we'll crash or whatever. Meanwhile, we're having 7-8% swings back in April. Now we get a 0.5% downswing in a matter of 15 minutes on the SPY, and everybody's freaking out. But we did have a pull. So I mean, right after you open, about 9:35 or so, we're at 629 SPY, and next thing you know, we're down at 626. And I had on to watch this morning. I was going to watch that 627 handle. I got close to adding some SQQ calls. I was actually looking at Broadcom. I was looking at AMD. I almost got some AMD 140 puts, but sometimes it's like, okay, let me just, I'm not loading lots of positions. So if I would get a hedge, I would do it with the premise of hoping that it expires worthless, because then that means the market's bounced. But just sat on my hands. Then market found some footing, hung around 627, 628 for most of the morning. And then as we got into the afternoon here, we just started to melt higher. So just impressive stuff, all in the face of what you would think would be opportunities for the market to kind of at least have some profit taking, right? Especially the move we had, uh, just remarkable stuff. So at some point, I don't know if it's tomorrow, Thursday after earnings with Tesla and Google, is Friday next week. There's going to be a day. It's going to happen. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to wake up and future going to be down 1% or so for no reason whatsoever. Maybe some little catalyst, right? Maybe a Deep Seek 2.0 or some kind of crazy headline will come out, and people will have an excuse to sell. The thing is, we saw last week on Wednesday with that announcement that POTUS was going to fire Powell, it almost seemed like people are like ready to hit the sell button. That's kind of has me a little worried. Like even today, it's like it seems like people are ready to sell. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Hopefully, find some footing. Google reports a decent quarter tomorrow, refutes or at least dispels some of the concerns around the AI and the search biz. They're going to post monster YouTube numbers. They always do. Gemini, we'll hear all about that stuff, and hopefully they can kind of at least keep the market bid, even if we chop around here, 627 to 633 or so this week, and small caps can take the baton. I think that'd be the most ideal scenario. So not only that, yields are going lower, so good sign there as well. And that's overall markets. We'll see what tomorrow brings, but it could be one of those sessions where market sells off, you sell all your calls, get into puts, and it's back to normal. It's like as if this morning is a couple days ago. All right, so that's quick. So now just individual names. So open, I was talking about open yesterday afternoon. I was talking about this morning. I hope it goes to the moon if folks are still in. Again, when I was looking at the name, I get, you have to look out to the future, right? And if they become the house buying, selling monster that some folks think they could be, then maybe it does have some kind of valuation. I don't know. I don't think that, right? And their margins are already low. That doesn't factor in if house prices go down. I mean, hey, maybe they go up. It just, to me, it's like a tough name to wrap my head around in regards to a bull story. But then on the flip side, and TSB was posting it yesterday, one of my favorite stocks back in the day was Cardlytics, right? I used to talk about Cardlytics all the time. It's like one of those fintech niche names that, they had partnerships with Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and some of these other card where they do the promotions on when you log in, right? You log into your phone or whatever, you see your account at the bottom. It says save $10 at Target on the trip if you spend over $20. And they have all these different offers, right? And it was a great business model because they had, once they get these uh, deals, they have to get deals on the other side, the brick and mortar. So, they have deals with Target. So they work with JP Morgan and Target, and they're like the middle person. So they collect a little, the VIG, whatever you want to call it, in the middle. And it's great. Creates value for the advertiser, the marketer, the target, and it creates value for the end user, the JP Morgan or whatever, who's, you know, person who opens their bank account, there's really no value in the open a bank account. But then when you see offers, you're like, oh, great stuff. And not only that, you can use it. And if they use it on their credit card, maybe they get swipe fees. And so it's a whole that whole transaction. So always great. So I used to love it. And I used to talk about this guy Clifford Sozen, and Clifford Sozen has a huge stake. He's one of those concentrated fund managers, right? He has very concentrated bets on names. I mean, he had Party City, but he had Carvana, he had Carlytics, and I have to look at his holdings. I haven't looked in a while because I haven't traded Carlytics since maybe it was May of last year or whatever it was. But so needless to say, it's like an interesting story, and I kind of know it like the back of my hand. And the thing is kind of fallen from grace. It's not like I don't believe in the story anymore, but after a while, it's like similar like GameStop. I think GameStop should be trading substantially higher, but the market's telling me otherwise. So I kind of stay away. But then I started looking at it again today, and you see there's some folks pretty bullish on posting out some stuff. You see it moving. I'm like, well, if they're going to move some stocks, I think there's a name that can kind of like, I wouldn't say revert to the mean or what have you, but I think it trades up near 5, 6, 7. So under that premise, I went and got some strikes. First, I went with the August, and those were inexpensive. And then I went out. I'm like, let me just go out further so I can at least even lock the further outs or the August strikes. Got the October calls, and I'll continue to hold those, and we'll see how things play out. Plenty of time on them. 225 is the big spot if you're technical wise, right? Over its 200-day moving average, 274. If it holds, breaks over here, I think it's good to go. And it's like when I look at Carlytics, I can make the case that it's 7, 8, 9, $10 stock without any changes to its business right now, right? I mean, it's reporting decent earnings. There's some snafus, but it's a great business model. All right, so that's the thought process behind adding the Carlytics today. It's like, to me, it like needs a kick, and it's one of those names that the kick gets folks in, and then people are going to look at it and say, "Wow, this is a great story," right? It's funny because the guy who's big bullish on GameStop, not GameStop, Root, he's like trashing GameStop. Oh, GameStop, when it ran, it was garbage. I mean, he doesn't even know it then, because GameStop, when it started running, it had no debt, billions in cash, small, huge revenues, traded less than one times revenues. It was a great story, in my opinion, GameStop. It was just that, it's a declining business. So, when you're trading GameStop, you're trading a business, they're not trading in video games anymore, right? So they had to find a different business model or whatever, but they figured that out, whatever. But like, to me, it's almost like he was, I wouldn't say he was ignorant to it, but to me, I'm like, if I look at a name, I look at Carlytics, I'm like, I can get my hands around a valuation on this one, right? So that's Cardlytics. Maybe I'll have some more. I'll post some stuff. I'm not going to put on my bullhorns and say it's going to $82, but I can see it trading north of $5 in the coming weeks. If that, I mean, my calls will be up substantial, multi-baggers. And maybe I'll have some more stuff tonight if I get some time to do some things. All right, so that's Cardlytics. RH, it's sometimes it's like I wish I had RH off my watch list or main watch list so I don't have to see it going. So it was running up in the morning. It's another name, high short interest too, but I mean, it's been up and down. Every time it seems to go up, I get the calls, and then it doesn't have resumption, right? What I get the calls last week, the week before, and then it was doing it again today. It was over $200, starts to run. I'm like, I don't think it'll take much. And the thing was with RH, it not only does it not take much for it to move, it doesn't take much for the premiums to start going up. So I'm looking, it's like 204, whatever was trading, 203, I forget, where 206, and I went and got the 225 strikes, and it just kept going. Next thing you know, it's at 210, 211. I was able to lock some in for almost 100% to cover costs. And now those calls are probably up over a double. It's hitting highs right now. They were just 150. Yeah, they're over a double. So I'll continue to hold the rest of those into tomorrow at least. Maybe I'll take a few. There's only 10 minutes to the close. I'll just hold on to those. It's a lotto, but it's a name that, I thought back to 230 from its earnings, or 227 or whatever back in mid-June. I think that's where it's headed. So if I think that's the case, I'm going to hold those calls for that. That was the thought process there on those lottos. Take a look at Edit. I was just posting before. 330 is the big spot. Hit that back in February. Another name. I mean, the calls are up green. So at some point, are they double yet? I got to see. I was just looking for plenty of time on the Edit. So it's half of me is like, do I want to add more calls and close some out and then add some more? I was saying this morning, I don't want to be in a spot where I'm staring at a position, but they're almost getting close to a double here on the Januaries. So, the thing is, like, if Edit goes to $5 by October, the January $5 calls are going to be a couple bucks, right? Then you start looking further out to 750s, right? They're 25 by 35. If it's $5 by then, 750 January is going to be $1, $1.50. But that's the other, I mean, that's the positive outcome, right? There's other outcomes too, which and this is the highs it hits for 2025, and it dips back under $2, right? I mean, and it's done it before, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I like the risk reward. So my thought is I'll probably wait till tomorrow or Thursday if I can get some out to cover costs 100%. I'll look maybe to just nibble a little higher strikes and then start to scale at lower strikes and then just hold that as kind of like a longer dated lotto. Because we've seen this before. I don't know if it was the COVID days when you had the whole gene editing space running, the CRISPR, the Blues, the Blue Bio. I'm trying to think of some of the other names that Kathy Wood was big on. And it's funny that Kathy Wood has been replaced by like Dan Ives guy as the Uber Bull, whatever you want to call him. It's funny how that all works. I'm trying to think of some of the other names here. Oh, Joby, right? Joby almost just went red to green just a little while ago. Impressive stuff. All the way down under 16. Did it hit 1520? What were the lows? 1551. Just have a couple of my October 20s. Let's continue to hold those. And then, maybe as the dust settles, I'll look to get some later date strikes. Serve kind of hanging in there. It's just disappointing. The 200-day moving average is looming. So hopefully it holds that too. TripAdvisor was looking great today. Frustrating, right? Because, uh, you know, can't do an option expiration day, but 2 days later. Speaking of option expiration day, Solar Edge, right? Those 35 calls that I had expired Friday, and then sure enough, what happens? The first 2 days of this month, all the way up to 32.50 just a little while ago, and probably is headed higher into the end of the week. That's a name. If you look at Solar Edge, huge short interest still, and a decent story to boot, right? So if people are looking for these for some like a basket of names that might be interesting plays, you can go fintech with Cardlytics, right? You can go bio with Edit because Edit has a decent short interest of like 10%. And then you can go with solar and energy and you can say, oh, 27% short interest. At this exact moment, Edge trades 1 times revenues, $1.9 billion company, $1.9 billion in revenue. So, if the solar sector, it's like that whole not tariff, the subsidies and all those, um, I forget all the agreements, things that the green energy incentives are going to go away. It's like maybe they're able to shake it off, right? So I think that's it. I'm trying to think of some of the other names. I mean, earnings, it's funny. It was the Dexcoms. I was looking, and then it's 85.65 early morning. I should have grabbed something, and then it dips, and then the afternoon hits lows. So that one's still chopping around. At some point I'll grab those. Deck reports. I think tomorrow, Thursday. I'm just going to sit on my hands on that one too. I'm not going to add anything there. Goldman Sachs rated is maintained at a sell this morning. So I mean that's not the be all end all. The thing is, it's down from $300. So it doesn't mean that's where it's headed. I'm trying to think of something to trip, serve. VKTX, right? I mean, Turn Pharmaceuticals all the way up to $6. Right now, it's actually at the highs today. 602 was $4 like a month ago, a couple weeks ago. Disappointing there, but I don't want to have too many eggs in a basket just yet. Just because I'm not that I don't think the market can't hold its ground or rally. It's just there's risk, right? And I think there's a higher risk now than there was a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, in regards to the market, at some point gonna have a pull. It's like every single worry, every the Iran World War III we're going to have, right? Like all these different credit downgrade from the U.S. There's so many different catalysts this year. I mean, the tariffs. You still have folks saying tariffs are hitting consumers, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying prices don't, but as a function, the U.S. economy, like prices go up over time. That's just how the economy works, right? I mean, people always put that slide up. Oh, back in 1950s, egg prices were 10 cents. Yeah, because the monetary policy, right? There's more cash in the system. That's just how it works. The economy grows, the more money released. That's just how things are. That's what 2% inflation every year. So what's going to happen is when there is inflation, it's going to be blamed on the tariffs, which some of it's going to be there, right? It's just you just hope. And like this morning with GM, hey, am I naive enough to think that people can, companies aren't raising prices? Amazon had that article 2 days, was it this morning or yesterday, where Wall Street Journal had an article in regards to Amazon kind of like sneakily raising prices. But then on the flip side, Walmart's lowering prices. And it's not they didn't release the news that they were doing. That's just they just checked prices every day and just compared them and stuff. But it's like, don't they raise and lower prices all the time? Right? I mean, right now they only have a sample size of the window right now, but it's like that happens all the time. Gosh, I mean, to me, the epidemic on Amazon is the 30, or even Walmart. Walmart's even worse. You go to Walmart's online website, an item's 45% off, but they mark the retail at $150 and they put it at $87 and say, oh, it's a sale today, 45% off. And then, it'll be Walmart Plus Day or whatever, and it'll be $87 again, and they'll say deal, but it's been that same price the whole time. It's, so that's why the pricing thing, the tariffs, the inflation, uh, not saying, that stuff is not there. It's not going to rear its head. But sometimes it's like cooler heads. It's like at 10 o'clock this morning, you could have, all of a sudden you get all that's the headlines that you see, the tomato prices calling the bank, causing restaurants to go bankrupt in California. And then you think all that, and you're going to go get your bomb shelter. You're going to go get all the puts, and you're going to sell all your bullish positions. And then you're going to come out of your bomb shelter 2 weeks later, and the market's going to be at all-time highs. So there's all those things. But anyway, let's have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.